Before babies are born, they live in the sky where they fly among the clouds. The sky is a happy place, and calling babies down to earth is not an easy thing to do. From the sky, babies can see the course of human lives. This is what the Hmong children of my generation are told by our mothers and fathers, by our grandmothers and grandfathers. They teach us that we have chosen our lives, that the people who we would become we had inside of us from the beginning, and the people whose worlds we share, whose memories we hold strong inside of us, we have always known. From the sky, I would come again.
Long ago in Laos, there lived a beautiful girl named Mira. One day, Mira went to fetch water from a small mountain stream. She did not see the tiger lurking in the bamboo grove by the stream's edge, but the tiger saw her. Hands grabbed her. She screamed for help, and then she started begging. But she was on the tiger's back and was flying through the jungle. He took her high up to a cave where his family of tigers waited for her hungrily. They did not know that their strongest one had fallen in love. As the days passed slowly, tears fell from her face. But in time, the tears stopped falling, and without speaking, she came to understand that the tiger cared for her in a way that was fiercer than a human. In the village, the people knew Yer had been abducted. It could be no other than the tiger. Only the most sought-after young man was brave enough and took his bow and knife. It took him many months to reach the lair of the tiger. He hid behind a big boulder and saw her. Had this been the most beautiful Hmong girl in the village? He did not know that in the time since her capture, Yer had fallen in love. He could not know that in her stomach she carried 3 tiger children. He took out his arrow filled with conviction and shot it to the stones above the cave. Yer shrieked for the tiger. The man quickly went to fetch Yer. The young man in haste took the screaming woman over his shoulder and he ran, her hands reaching behind his back, trying to claw through the air, through boulders to the one who loved her best, but it was no use. In the days to come, Yer accepted her new human husband. One day, while her human husband was out in the fields, Yer felt her stomach hurting. She ran to the grain sheds and there gave birth to 3 little tiger children. She would go each day holding her tiger babies, feeding them and saying, "My babies, yellow, black, and stripe, you must be hungry today." The next day, her human husband told her he was not feeling well. He walked quickly to the grain shed. Yellow, black, and stripe, thinking it was their mother, started mewing for her. He slit their throats one at a time. He took their bodies back to the house, boiled water, chopped up their bodies, and steamed them with green onion and chili peppers. He tasted the broth and found it delicious. When Yer came home, she was delighted to see her husband had cooked a meal, and together they feasted on her tiger babies. It wasn't until the next day when she went back to the shed and saw the cleaned up blood stains that she knew. "My babies, yellow, black, and stripe." She cried and cried and cried.
My eyes took in the body. No details, just an outline on a sleeping platform. Not terribly exciting. There were no movement, no flies buzzing, no smell. I imagined her round stomach with intestines coming out. I jumped at the sound of my name. I started to run, just like they had. But my eyes were still on her body. I didn't see the rock protruding from the ground in the middle of the doorway. It surprised my feet, and I tried to grab the air as I fell to the ground. I had always been told that when a person falls in the presence of a dead body, the body takes the living person's spirit. All my life I had heard this from my older cousins and the adults. Even Grandma believed it.
Van Vanai refugee camp was a dirty place. Van Vanai refugee camp was a place where kids kept secrets and adults stayed inside themselves. My mother and father speak of how little we had when I was born. They had already been in the camp for a year and 5 months Each person had only a few pieces of donated clothing. This was much more than they had when they crossed the Mekong River, but they still say that I was born when they were poor because they had stopped wishing for things other than their lives. I was their gift in a time when they could not dare to dream for presents.
I thought we were going to America. I did not know that we were headed to Pinat Nikom transition camp to America. My memories from the time in Pinat Nikom are ones of a time of preparation. The Hmong had been like the land, fertile and green, waiting for new growth. Because we were an old people, our lands had grown wild. In this camp, our big trees would be cut down, our large stones thrown out, and new seeds would be planted. The Hmong people were pushed together, pushed apart, pushed out.
I have no memory of leaving Pinat Nikom transition camp, as I do of our arrival there, or as I do the leaving of Ban Vinai refugee camp. Perhaps one place had felt like home to me and the other hadn't. In the minds of children, maybe in everyone's minds, we do not remember so well the places that taught us fears that we could not know how to articulate in a world where there was already so much to worry about, to work around, and to try to understand. A bus took us to Bangkok International Airport. I was happy because I was not alone. There were many more people than just the four of us. The bus to America was full of Hmong families, pregnant mothers, little boys, and girls my age, some still sucking on their mother's breasts, and others looking almost grown up with their hair pulled back, with straight spines, all of us in our newest clothes. The saddest surely were the young people and old people on the bus, with no families, desperate to find people who care in a place far away from the memories of despair.
We were in America. The world was dark, but the lights on the high poles showed the way. The cars had lights too, red and white ones that blinked in front and back. The world was big, and I was small, and there were lights everywhere. That night, I believed that if I followed the lights, I would never get lost in America, just as my mother and father had believed in the lights of Thailand, just as that night in the Mekong River would live forever inside of them. The night we got to America would live forever inside of me.
From the moment we arrived, I knew that my family had survived a great war to bring me to this country. I understood that the conditions in Thailand and the camps were hard for those who knew more than I did. But for me, the hardness in life began in America. We are so lucky to be in this country, the adults all said. Watching them struggle bellied this fact. We are so fortunate to be young, new lives opening before us, they believed. And yet the life in school that opened before me made me feel old in a world that was struggling to be young. A silence grew inside of me because I couldn't say that it was sometimes sad to be Hmong, even in America.
I was becoming good in different subjects: math, English, social studies, science, and art. My report cards were full of 4s for great and 3s for good. I had learned how to be a good student in America, except for an important thing. I got 2s for needs improvement for all things that had to do with making friends and talking. I realized I was forgetting how to talk, and things got immediately more complicated. There were Hmong kids who were not any better than I was in English, but they were trying to speak English left and right, which made them look young and silly and new. There was a part of me that felt old. Instead of talking, I focused on listening.
In high school, I met a teacher who changed the way I saw myself in education. Her name was Mrs. Gallatin, and she opened up a possibility that I was special. It was in this class that I wrote my first real essay in response to this question. Is the story of Romeo and Juliet a story of love or lust? I wrote about the love I felt I knew. Love is the reason why my mother and father stick together in a hard life when they might each have an easier one apart. Love is the reason why you choose a life with someone and you don't turn back, although your heart cries sometimes and your children see you cry and you wish out loud that things were easier. Love is getting up each day and fighting the same fight only to sleep that night in the same bed beside the same person because long ago when you were young and you did not see so clearly, you had chosen them. Mrs. Gallatin caught me in the hall later that day and said that my essay was beautiful. She said that I wrote more than an answer to the question. I was telling her the ways in which questions come from life and end in life. I had never thought of myself as a good writer, but Mrs. Gallatin said that I had a talent for literature. In the course of a semester, she opened up a real possibility that I could excel in high school and college because they were all about good reading and good writing.
While I was attending Carleton College, I discovered that I could not translate all the things I was learning to my mom and dad, but I could not help but apply them. This was when I started collecting my grandma's stories. I began to realize how our lives in America would be our stories. I started to understand one of the many truths that govern life. By documenting our deaths, we were documenting our lives. The Hmong had died too many times, and each time their deaths had gone unwritten. There were no testimonies. The witnesses grew old, and they died, and life continued, as if they had never lived. I didn't want this to happen to my grandma, to this woman I adored, whom I could not imagine not loving forever. I wanted the world to know how it was to be Hmong long ago, how it was to be Hmong in America, and how it was to die Hmong in America, because I knew our lives would not happen again.